What's going on, fans? It's Kenneth, SBM Boxing. From, of course, subscribe. Let's speak boxing. Some great night of fights that are happening tomorrow night in Texas, in Arlington, at the AT&T Center. Weigh-ins happen tonight for Errol, the True Spence, versus Danny Swift Garcia. I wanted to create this video because, you know, George the Boxing Genius, and we spoke about this topic several times and stuff like that, but I never really had the time to sit down and, you know, break down and give my opinion. Obviously, that's an actual opinion. It doesn't mean it's going to be right. It's going to be accurate. It's just the way I see it. And, you know, I'm just, you know, do I think this is a close fight? I think it's going to be a good fight, you know, but you can't take anything from Danny Swift Garcia. I think Errol Spence definitely has the edge, but Danny has a chin. And Danny has a puncher's chance. You know, Danny has a lot of power. Not to say that Danny doesn't have skills. He can box, he can fight, he can adapt, he can give and take, and he's been in some big-ass fights, you know. But there's a lot of questions going around with the back and forth, you know what I'm saying? You know, are both fighters ready? They look good. They both made weight, 146, both fighters, and some change. On one side, you hear stories as far as the Danny Garcia camp saying that him and his father's relationship hasn't, you know, it's rekindled. It's better than it's ever been before. Obviously, other fight camps, you know, previous fights, there was always some issues. And obviously, family comes first. So if there's any kind of hostility, especially if your father is the coach, obviously, you're going to feel a certain way. And it's going to tarnish the actual hard work and training and preparation that you have to do for the fight. But supposedly, he's mentally and physically in shape. And spiritually, he's there. He rekindled with his family, you know what I'm saying? Errol Spence, questions, speculations there. Is he ready based from the accident that he had over a year ago? You know, he was on top of his game, went out, you know, God forbid, you know, everything came out great. He's still alive. He's still breathing. And then the back of mind is there. It's not that he got knocked out or anything like that, but the simple fact that, you know, he needed some spiritual cleansing. You know, I'm not saying that it was good for him or anything like that, but I like the fact that he was able to take some time to himself, think about it, run things. Obviously, he got a little emotional and stuff like that because sometimes you take life for granted. You live in the fast lane. You know, he actually got it, and that's exactly what he said. He has a second chance in life. A lot of people see that as a bad thing, but I definitely see that as a good thing. Now, is he ready for this fight? Obviously, he was sore as fuck. You know what I'm saying? He was swollen. He was still healing. But at the end of the day, you're talking about a pro athlete, you know? His team knows better. You know, he knows his body. And at that level, in any sport you play, you know your body, you know what you're capable of. So you're going to put your body to the test. He's not taking Danny Garcia lightly. He knows Danny's going to bring it. He knows Danny can hurt him. And he knows if he doesn't bring his A game and he's not even at 90%, I'm not going to say he's 100% because even with or without the accident, there's a lot of fighters that they're likely, even pro athletes, it's a rarity that you come into the night at a fight at 100%. You know, if you're able to come in at 85 or 80%, you're ready to go. You're fight ready. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stories out there. Just in pro, you know, it's a rarity that you're at 100%. But is Errol Spence? Do I think Errol Spence is 80%? I think so. And I trust his camp, and I trust it because at the end of the day, you can't play with boxing. You know what I'm saying? It's not like baseball. It's not like football. It's not like basketball. Nothing to discredit as far as that sport is concerned. But boxing's a little different. If you're not 100%, there's no thing that you can't lollygag. You can't take it. You're going to get beat up. You know what I'm saying? You can't take that for granted. So obviously he sparred. He put in a lot of rounds. He put in a lot of road work. He did his speed and agility. He did his weight training. You know, he put in the work, you know, and at the end of the day, if he didn't feel good, he couldn't put in that work, or he didn't get tested, he didn't test his body to the limit, and he couldn't handle it or withstand it, he wouldn't be fighting this fight. So do I think he's ready? Absolutely. Mentally, absolutely, 100% he's ready. You know, does he have the confidence? Absolutely, he has the confidence because he wouldn't be fighting. He has no reason not to have confidence as far as not winning this fight, you know. But what do I think? You know, I do agree. I think Danny Garcia, I've always been a Danny Swift Garcia big fan. You know, George the Boxing Genius actually is cheering for Danny Garcia in this fight, and he thinks that Danny Garcia actually has a chance. You know, I've always been a Swift Garcia fan. You know, Team Swift, even Angel Chino Sanchez, he's ride or die. Matter of fact, he's going with Swift right now because he's a fan of Danny Garcia. You know what I'm saying? At the 140, he completely dominated. He beat up the boogeyman Matisse at the time. You know, as soon as he came out to welterweight, that's the only thing. You know, Danny Garcia is good, but he still hasn't been able to beat the top welterweights and dominate like he did at the 140 weight class. You know what I'm saying? He did beat Lamont Peterson. but he struggled a little bit with Lamont Peterson in the later rounds. You know, I was a little questioning that because Lamont Peterson was winning a lot of rounds and Danny was getting caught with some big-ass shots. You know, the Matisse situation, not the Matisse, I'm sorry, the Herrera when he went to Puerto Rico. I think if they did that rematch, fucking Danny Garcia would knock Herrera out. You know what I'm saying? But I think the whole thing as far as him trying to put Puerto Rico on his back, him all the promotions, all the press tours, him going to Puerto Rico, speaking Spanish, all this stuff, and just getting out of his realm and just really promoting, focusing on that and stuff like that. I think it got to him, you know, and I think it affected him the night of the fight, you know what I'm saying? I don't know too much. All I'm doing is assuming my point of view, but I know for a fact it wasn't his night, you know. Herrera actually put it on him, you know, not to sit there and say that Danny doesn't have skills. It's just, you know, he wasn't on that night. But if they were the rematch, if say, for instance, that fight would have happened weeks later or 3 months later and they would have had a whole different training camp, fucking Danny Garcia would knock his ass out. For sure, 100%. He was a little rusty with Lamont Peterson, but he still did his thing. He still came out victorious. When he fought Zab Judah, he was a little rusty. He was getting caught by Zab Judah. Zab Judah got winded, but still he came out victorious there. Obviously, he dominated Ratcliffe. He dominated, I think that's what his name, Brandon Rios. He's been dominating on that. And actually, he was close against Thurman. He was close against Porter. It was a close fight, you know. But you only got one opportunity to make to press and to dominate. And I think he got overwhelmed with Thurman, even though it was a close fight. You know, he just didn't give it enough, you know. He wasn't able to adapt quick enough and actually just win those extra rounds to come out victorious, obviously, right? Same thing with Porter. I think Porter definitely won that fight. I think it was still close. But Danny's one of those fighters that if they were to fight again, he can learn, he can adapt, and he can take the information or actually the experience from the first fight, and he'll come out victorious. If you put Danny Garcia against Thurman, I think Danny Garcia will dominate Thurman because he's that type of fighter. I think if Danny Garcia fights fucking Porter, I think right now Danny Garcia will dominate Porter as well because he needs that second go around. But the bad part about it is, why do you need a second go around? Even though he's a solid fighter, you know, there's no second go around, dude. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that he's just missing that in his camp. Against Errol Spence, I think, you know, it's cliche to say, but he's tailor-made for Errol Spence. You know, unless he comes in, because Danny Garcia really doesn't press. He doesn't walk you down or anything like that. He doesn't have a high output. You know, he's a very counter-puncher. He's very defensive. He's very slick with it. But Errol Spence he's tall, he's lanky, he has range, he's a southpaw. He knows how to box. He fights in different angles. He'll jab, he'll go downstairs, he'll go upstairs. He has a lot of tools in his arsenal, man. You got to jab, you got to uppercut. He's a body snatcher. He'll dominate the body, you know. But I don't see Errol Spence dominating the body early. I think he'll do that on the second half of the fight. But I think he's going to utilize his jab and then hopefully wait for Danny to press and Danny to come in. If Danny tries to fight in the box on the outside, he's going to lose. He's going to be forced to press. And if he forces to press, that puts him in the offense and it puts Errol Spence in the counter situation. And that's fucking Errol Spence's game. If Errol Spence is countering Danny all day, dude, it's an all day fight, you know. I think the only situation that, the only advantage that Danny Garcia has is the simple fact that he's been active, you know what I'm saying? And not just that, it's the simple fact that the Mikey Garcia fight, there was a lot of shots that were being landed, but Mikey Garcia wasn't putting out. You know, Mikey Garcia was a little too small. He was a little too short. He didn't have the reach. No excuses for Mikey Garcia, but he was just outclassed, not because of the skill and ability, obviously, even though Errol Spence has the skills, but I think it was just too much. It was just, I think the welterweight division is just too much for Mikey Garcia, period. He's just too small of a fighter. He needs to go 140, 135 and stay there. 140 tops. Just because there's some big-ass dudes that are fast, that pack the power, pack the speed, and it's just too much for you, man. It's just way too much for you. Not to make any excuses, nothing against Mikey Garcia. I'm a huge Mikey Garcia fan. I'm dying for him to go back down and fight Teofimo and get in the mix there, and he definitely has a chance of beating Teofimo for sure. He definitely has a chance of doing that, you know what I'm saying? Because Mikey's dangerous. But as far as Errol Spence, with that fight, he showed that he can box, but who did he box? You know what I'm saying? Mikey Garcia has the skill, but if Mikey Garcia was a little bit taller, a little bit heavier, a little bit stronger and stuff like that, then obviously it would be a different fight, you know? But it's easy to say after it's already done. But how do I see the fight happening? I don't know. You know, I really couldn't tell you. It comes down to the night of fight and how it's approaching, you know, and the game plan that's being done. I think it's up to Danny Garcia. If Danny Garcia is going to come in and press, he's going to have to bring it. The first 5 rounds, Danny Garcia is going to have to bring it. If Danny Garcia tries to counter and Danny Garcia tries to slow down the pace and take his time and try to take it into deep waters and, you know, 1-2 punch combination and don't try to rug it up, then, dude, you're going to lose. You're going to lose badly. You know what I'm saying? I don't see Danny Garcia outboxing Errol Spence. I see Danny Garcia landing some big ass shots, but that's in the pocket, and that's if they're fighting inside. You know what I'm saying? I think if they're fighting inside and Errol Spence brings it to that level, I think if they're fighting inside game and stuff like that, like supposedly that's what Errol Spence said he did with Porter and let that happen. I think Danny Garcia has a shot. But I think if Errol Spence just outboxes him, keeps his distance and mixes it up and lets Danny Garcia, you know, bring the action to him, but keeps his distance and creates that space, but Danny Garcia has the opportunity to land a big ass shot. You just don't know. But what's my fight prediction? I'm a fan of both fighters. I'm a fan of Swift. I'm a fan of fucking Errol Spence. It's sad to say or whatever, but I was putting my money up. I would definitely say Errol Spence taking this fight. I don't even think it's going to be a split decision. I don't think it's going to be as close as Thurman and Garcia. I don't think it's going to be close as Porter and Garcia. I think it's going to be a wide margin. You know what I'm saying? Unless Danny has some shit that he's been working on. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, guys, this is Kenneth, SBM Boxing. Friend request, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's going to be a good fight, man. It's going to be a good fight for boxing. The fight to be made, like I said, is Crawford and Spence. You know what I'm saying? But Crawford can bring it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the fight right there. That's going to be 50-50 against Errol Spence. Why? Because Crawford can mix it up. You know what I'm saying? He can fight southpaw. He can fight unorthodox. He can box it different. He's fast. He's explosive. He's a big finisher. So if he senses that you're hurt and he smells that blood, he tastes that blood, he's going for the kill. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to box. He knows how to lure you in. He knows how to feint. And he's a slick fighter, you know. He'll have a high output. His endurance is there, and he has power. You know what I'm saying? So he has a lot of tools in the chest. So that right there, that's going to be a good fight. But as far as the Danny Garcia side, you know, Danny Garcia is no Crawford, man. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have a high output as far as punch output. He's not going to throw 50+ punches per round. You know, I think he's going to take his time. He's going to try to counter. He's going to try to feel him out. And by the time you know it, by the time he warms up and by the time he looks up at the score, or, you know what I'm saying, asks his dad, hey, what's up? What's going on? Da-da-da-da. It's already the 6th round and he's lost all 6 rounds. It is what it is. And there hasn't been no action. Danny's not going to be really too hurt because he's trying to box and shit like that. But he's going to get out-punched. You know what I'm saying? So he's definitely going to have to gamble. He's definitely going to have to come in. And go for it, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't go for it, you're going to get outmatched, you're going to get outclassed, you're going to lose the fight, you know? But even though you do go for it, Errol Spence can bang, but you have the opportunity to come out victorious, winning on points, or landing that crazy overhit, because he does have power. Danny has fucking a lot of power, you know what I'm saying? But he's going to have to go for it, he's going to have to take chances. But there is a chance because Errol Spence can bang as well. So you got to be careful, dude. But anyways, guys, this is Kenneth, SBM Boxing. Friend request, subscribe. I'm excited about this fight. Have a good one. Take it easy.